I generally like to use the microphone because I'm so hard of hearing that I want to make sure people can hear. So, Mike, am I all right back there with you?
Fine.
Let's just see. Maybe it'll just see if it travels far enough. One thing, but thank you all for coming, and we'll just try to keep this informal. It's a nice sized group, and we've been. I don't know whether this is our 10th or 12th town hall meeting. I'm not quite sure how many we put on. We've had quite a few telephonic town hall meetings, and they've been interesting to have that. But it seems like, quite frankly, it's been more than 8 months since we went into office. It has been quite a challenge in Washington, but I can tell you, I'm glad I'm there. We had the opportunity. I know I'm already off my game on this thing a little bit, but when we got elected and we went over there, the leadership asked me, well, what committee assignment do you want? And I told them Energy and Commerce, because I thought it is the issue that affects us in West Virginia. There's nothing more important, I think, than the coal energy, healthcare, and the technology. And we didn't have a representative. In some people's mind, they can't remember anyone from West Virginia being on that committee. And because you look at it over the years, for the last numbers of years, Shelley has been on financial services, the banking. Nick Joe Rahal was with natural resources, was doing a good job there. And Alan Mollahan was on appropriations. There's nobody in Congress speaking about energy or protecting energy. And in West Virginia, I just thought it was just such a profound opportunity, because when I was in the legislature, I had the opportunity to serve for 14 years on the House Finance Committee. And I came to learn very quickly that coal is what operates, as you know, it's what operates the state of West Virginia. 50% of our budget comes from coal. Coal operation, coal from one form or another. But there's no one on the committee that deals with coal. So I said, that's what I want. And he just smiled. He said to me, well, Congressman, he said, everyone wants on that committee. He said, 75% of your class wants on that committee. And he said, we typically don't put freshmen on that committee. So, what's your second choice? I said, Energy and Commerce. I said, look, I'll ask you. I may be, and I found out I was the oldest member of the freshman class. I said, I'm older than you are. I've been a small businessman for 45 years. I'm no freshman. This may be my first year in Congress, but I'm no freshman. And I got appointed to the committee. So I'm there, and I'm delighted to have that opportunity. But then what we started to do was to after the committee assignment, then was to go to work to put together a staff, because things you don't have time to do like you do in the private sector. It's gradually ramp up. You got to hit the ground running, because people will start calling right away on casework or other issues. So we had to get our staff immediately in place. And Andy Saray had helped me out in the campaign, and so we made him he was our chief of staff. And then we started filling in with other people. But one of the conditions I asked for him was, I said, I want West Virginia people on our staff in Washington. And he's done that. We have people from Wheeling, we have people from Fallsview, West Virginia, we have Charleston. I just want West Virginia people, because I think there's something that's special about our state. And so when we're dealing with matters in Congress, I want to make sure that when I have a chance in the quiet moments, whenever we do have quiet moments there, to be able to sit down and talk to them about the impact it could have on West Virginia, but have it from West Virginia perspective. And I think we've accomplished that. Can we work? We're looking, all our district staff, what we have here tonight. Betsy Ward is involved in our Parkersburg office. Pam is in Morgantown. And Flynn is in our Wheeling office. And Richie, where's Richie? Richie is our district director. He's from Hurricane, West Virginia, and located now in our Morgantown office. I think that's still all that we have here tonight. Okay. But we had some people earlier here. This is our fifth town hall meeting this week. We brought some people, we got them out of the Beltway. Because I think, folks, you got to get away from downtown Washington, because they think differently there. And I joke a lot about it. My wife, Mary, and I have kidded. We always take bottled water with us over when we go each weekend, because I come home every weekend and I take my water back, because I think whatever they drink over there gets to them. And I don't want to. So this is my medicine. I just take good West Virginia water back with me on it. But what I want to try to do is give you a little update. But we got some questions, and if we have some time, maybe we can take some open questions. But I've asked everyone to try to fill in. I want to give you kind of an oversight of where things are. It's just such an opportunity to get back. Every weekend we've been back since we did the last 8 months. Back in the district. I want to hear what's on your mind. Sometimes people will call, they're upset or concerned about something. We want to make sure we clarify why we've done what we've done, or what's coming up. We have advisory groups. We've got groups that I'll call before we know a vote's coming up, and we want to talk to you. We want to hear what's on your mind. I know what I'm thinking about, but I'm just one of 600-some thousand people we have in the district. I just want to hear from you. So it has worked very effectively. We campaign on 4 things, and I'm really trying to stay focused on it. It's so easy in Washington to get involved in, try to get involved in everything. And you know, as county commissioners, if you do that, you're going to water yourself down, and you're not going to be effective at all. So we try to stay focused on the issues that I think are important to our district. The one first is jobs. How are we going to create an atmosphere that's more conducive to getting jobs into this country, and especially in the first district. The second was cutting spending. That was one of the most critical issues of why I got back into this game. If you remember it all, that I had been out of politics for 14 years. I was as cynical as everyone else in this room about the whole process, about people that had betrayed our trust. But I knew that there were quality, good people that put themselves out of line. You're out there, you're trying to do what's right. And I was concerned about what was going on in Washington. So I got back in. So the first was jobs. The second was spending. I was very upset about the health care and the Obamacare proposal. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the last we talked about was about the coal industry, because I could see what was happening. There truly was and is a war on coal. And I've been blessed to have a front row seat now in Washington to see this war on coal. And it's not pretty at all. But emblematic for me, what I've done, I got this picture. It was provided by Thorny Beeberman out of Charleston. And it's a life-size picture of a coal mine. And I have it right over my desk. Everyone that comes into my office, they have to listen to the lecture. Because I quickly have come to the realization that there's not a respect for the coal industry in Congress. And in part maybe it's because no one was there in the committee to defend our industry, our lifeblood of West Virginia. It's not just the miners, but it's all the secondary jobs that come out from it. What do you know? It's how many other jobs? Out here, some people talk from 4 to 10 jobs for every one that works underground. And whatever the number is, there's always a secondary job line. So but in this, what we found, they're just not a respect. So when this was given to me, I have it up on the wall. And you can see from the picture there or up here, he works in the Dana mine in the Morgantown area. And you can see he just finished his shift. He's filthy dirty from the coal soot, been working underground. And he comes out, and there's always safety gear. But he's got his arm around his daughter Kaylee. And part of what I wanted to try to do is make sure that people don't think of the men and women that work for us. They think of them as statistics. We have 13.6% unemployment, or we have 4.8%. I want to do it. They're men and women. their brothers, their uncles, their fathers, their grandfathers. They're human beings. I want us to show respect for them. So I'm very proud of our industry and what it is. So I want them to feel like when they go to work that Kaylee can count on her dad coming home at night. Make sure we have good safety in our homes. We may have to tighten up some of the regulations if that's what's necessary. But and unfortunately, it was so painful when we lost 29 workers at the Upper Big Branch, and then last week we lost another one who was a roof boulder down in Logan County. It is a very dangerous job, and we need to appreciate it. I want people in Washington to appreciate the men and women throughout this state and throughout the country that work in our mines. And I think this, man, because that company, some of their seams are not much higher than this point right here. So all day long, some of our coal miners, I know we spent a lot of time on it, but some of our coal miners work on their hands and knees all day long. They go back the next day and they work on their hands and knees all day long, just so that we can have electricity and air conditioning. It's something I want, and every person, they have to hear this story. And when they walk out, I tell you, Harvey, I think they know better about our coal mining industry and why we're going to be passionate about protecting them. They've got a voice in Washington. They probably had a voice before, but they got a loud voice on the right committee now, and we're going to see that our industry is protected, and we're going to see, hopefully, we're going to see more, because what's happening in Washington, that it affects all four components, really, of what we've been talking about in the campaign and back then, and now what we're governing on, is jobs. One of the things that the mine now obviously is coal, and when you burn coal, it creates an ash. Just like if you threw a log in a fireplace, you get an ash. The issue in Washington that is swirling among a lot of environmentalist groups is the fly ash. So it's what do you do with that ash? Coal is burned in 48 of the 50 states. So every day we're creating fly ash. And there have been some people, some environmentalists, that mean well, but their concern is that it is a hazardous material. I can understand how they can get excited about that. So over the years, the EPA periodically has done reviews of fly ash. In 1993 and 2000, they did very comprehensive studies of fly ash to find out whether it is or is not a hazardous material. And at both times, they've reported back that it is not a hazardous material. But notwithstanding that, the Obama administration, in its war on coal, has said, I think it should be a hazardous material, and has unleashed Lisa Jackson and the EPA to classify it as a hazardous material. Now, they can do that, but 40% of fly ash is recycled today. It's used in concrete. It's used in concrete block. It's used in bricks. It's used in drywall. Probably some of the drywall in this building has fly ash in it. It's used in toothpaste. It's used in cosmetics. It's used in the Midwest as a fertilizer additive. So if it becomes a hazardous material, how many people will use it? How many people would let it be put up in their house if they think they're putting up in their house a hazardous material? So what's happened, the president has stigmatized our industry in West Virginia by saying, you burn coal, you have a hazardous material. And businesses are becoming reluctant now because of the stigma attached to it to use some of this material.